in to number 38 here at Mile High Sports. Thank you so much for being here. Our grand opening of a new studio space here for Mile High. We are so excited to be here. We've been here all day, on and off. MHS Today's been recording a lot of content. Been on a couple times already. And now we're wrapping up sort of our recorded segments, our not like our live segments here, right before tonight's Nuggets Warriors game. Thank you for being here. I am joined by good friend over at Denver Stiffs, Zach Mikash. Zach, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's been a fun day. Lots of fun. I've had some drinks, as we all do. Had a good burger. The jalapeno burger here at number 38 is awesome, and we've got a massive crowd here. Like it's actually really cool to see. Like we've got a really interesting studio space that you guys can't see here, but you have to make sure to come check it out at number 38. We've got glass on the side, glass on the front, glass on this side. We got Danny Bailey back in the booth. We've been having a great time.
We're sort of like in the fishbowl.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of cool.
But I love it. We're in it with the Denver people here. Opening day for the Rockies. Mile High Sports has been, having a great blast down here all day. It's been fun to follow you guys. I didn't get to come down here until this evening, but happy to be here now. My first time in studio. So pretty excited.
You've been here at number 38 before. We've done a couple segments here, but now it's for real.
Right.
We're at a good place right now, and I'm excited to talk about the Nuggets with you, just because this has been a very interesting year for the Denver Nuggets. Only 5 games left to go. I think they've probably underperformed a little bit in the standings, and in the win-loss record as what people kind of expected. But the West has been so kind of collected together that they're still in third.
Yeah, exactly. There's Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's a collection of almost 9 different teams that keep jockeying around for position in the NBA standings. And you're right, the Nuggets they've been a little bit up and down. I think particularly recently, right? Now some of that's because of health, right? I mean, last game they literally sat every single starter.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But for a team that 2 years ago won a title, last year was going at the number 1 seed pretty much right up until the last game of the season. And then this season sort of lost the 1 seed early. And now you're in this situation where it's are they going to even have home court in the playoffs?
Scary.
It's a new. It shouldn't feel new for Nuggets fans. We've been through all this before, but it does feel new because they've been so dominant these past couple seasons.
Yeah, you think back to when they first got into the playoffs in 2019 with this current crew, and they were the 2nd seed immediately. They were kind of the Houston Rockets of this particular of this time, and they the Rockets. I think are a team that people don't necessarily fear this year. We'll get into that in just a little bit, but Denver, I think the expectations are just so high,
right?
That now, because say they're the 3rd seed, but they could fluctuate back to the 4th or 5th or 6th seed, and there's just a lot to think about when it comes to just where this team has been, where they should be going.
Right.
How do you feel championship odds right now? I keep giving the number of about 5%. How do you feel differently from that, or do you feel about the same?
No, I'd probably put a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard to say right now because where's Jamal going to be at in terms of health? That's going to be the biggest part of it. Nicola's been banged up like everybody is, but you expect Nicola to perform. I mean, he was banged up and he put up 60 more points, right? So
pretty good.
He'll be fine. But I guess I'm still holding out hope, right? That Jamal is going to be playoff Jamal, and I still believe if you have those 2 guys, they're as good as any team in the West, including Oklahoma City, and in the East, as long as it's not Cleveland, I feel pretty good.
Even Boston, and that's always fun. That's interesting to think about because Boston was the team that just won the championship, and they are a scary team. But it does feel like when Jokic is playing, they have a different level that they can reach.
They're missing that Jokic stopper, exactly.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes from here. I want to talk a little bit about playoff matchups at this point because Denver is in this very convoluted situation within this playoff picture, where you just don't know what you're going to get from Houston, from Memphis, from Golden State.
Right.
OKC is at the top, and while they are historically great statistically, I think a lot of people still feel okay about that matchup between Denver and OKC. Where do you feel, if I was to give you the entire playoff field let's say from 1 to 8, we're going OKC, Houston, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves, the Clippers. Which of those teams do you think is the most difficult to face?
Well, there's probably a pretty good argument for the Timberwolves because the Nuggets just can't seem to beat them. No matter even though they came real close, obviously a couple nights ago. I think that's a team that you somewhat are scared of just because I don't even want to say scared of, but I would prefer not to see them just because of the emotion, because of the rivalry. It's likely would be like a first round matchup. You know, if we're gonna play that sort of knock down, drag it out fight, I'd like to see that in the conference finals, not in the first round, and then by the way, go have to go play like Oklahoma City in the second round.
Yeah, that's your reward for winning that whole showdown that you've got going on there. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, if I were gonna pick another team, obviously the Thunder are gonna be tough, but also I think the Lakers are a team that it's not going to be as simple as it has in the past, where the Nuggets have basically dominated the Lakers, similar to how the Timberwolves now are dominating the Nuggets.
Sure.
Luka Doncic adds a whole new element to it. And the Lakers whistle, like for that, as a fan, Ryan, I do not want to watch the Lakers in the playoffs.
It was funny to watch that first matchup again between the Nuggets and the Lakers after the All-Star break, and Julian Strawther picked up 4 fouls in 90 seconds.
Right.
That was a tough scene for the young cat. He's going to be back tonight, by the way. We'll get into some matchups in just a second here. But really, really excited to see. I see CT Fazio in the chat. He's saying, studio looks sick. Congrats on the grand opening. Thank you, CT. Always appreciate the contributions here. You've been a good friend to the program and to Pickaxe and Roll over the course of these last few years. I think I'm going to pick OKC in terms of the toughest matchup.
Yeah.
Not just, fair. And like they are a historically great team. That certainly helps. But mostly because of the depth that they have and the different amount of options that they can throw at Denver from both an offensive and defensive perspective. People aren't necessarily scared of Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren or some of their other young guys yet, but they are still pretty good. Like there's a reason why Jalen Williams was an All-Star. So that's a dangerous team that people like. They're like you're either going to respect or you are going to get blown out of the way.
Right, and Chet's a guy like he should have been rookie any other year, save for like a handful. He would have been rookie of the year last season, but he went up against Wemby, right? So yeah, I mean Chet, Jalen, these are guys who are going to be difficult for the Nuggets to match up with. We see that you talk about like a guy like Jalen Williams. Well, who are you going to defend him with if you've got Aaron Gordon, probably on Chet? Then that's going to put Michael Porter Jr. on Jalen Williams because you're going to have Christian Brown on Shea. So you start those are the guys they can take advantage of the Nuggets' weaknesses on defense. And Oklahoma City on the other side doesn't really have very many weaknesses on defense, right? Like that is a stout team. That's 1 through 9.
That's the best defense that I've seen.
Right.
And I've covered the league for a fair amount of time here. Minnesota was a great defense last year, but they were designed to beat the Nuggets and not as designed to beat anybody else. And like the Dallas Mavericks really, really hurt them the next round for obvious reasons. For OKC, they are designed to beat modern NBA offenses and to bully you. And so Denver, fortunately, has one of the only players you can't really bully in the NBA, in Nikola Jokic, and they have the size, they have the style that it doesn't involve a whole bunch of dribbling, it doesn't involve a whole bunch of playmaking off of normal actions. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. After those two teams, is there another one that you would point to and say, I'm not necessarily feeling that matchup?
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody else, I would be fairly confident. I mean, there's going to be teams that are going to have guys that are going to give you trouble. Memphis is going to give you trouble with John Morant, right? Golden State Warriors are going to have Steph Curry. That's always a guy you don't want to face in the playoffs. So I actually would like to face Golden State in the playoffs. Even a team like the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, when healthy, is still Kawhi Leonard. Like he's still a fantastic basketball player. So if any team that you face is not going to be an easy matchup, it's not like one of those years where you could point to an 8 or a 7 seed and be like, yeah, that's like a team that's going to maybe win one game in the first round.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating for that particular matchup. I do think we should talk about the Lakers, unfortunately, because that's one they've really struggled over the course of the last few weeks, but I look back to that initial matchup between these two teams, and I look back at a couple of the ways that they have been successful against Denver. Do you have any belief that they can slow down Nikola Jokic in the way that they slowed him down in the first matchup?
No, I mean, over a 7-game series, not really.
Okay.
There might be like a game, right? But I mean, we're talking about like Jackson Hayes and,
True.
you know, I didn't even know who else they
Rui Hachimura did a great job, and LeBron James did a great job.
But again, in a game or so, and we even saw that in the Western Conference Finals when Lakers got swept, right? Rui had a great half against Jokic and held his own. But I don't think they have the size. I think that the failed trade that they had with Dalton Connect, that really that hurt them.
It is interesting. Dalton's kind of not in their rotation anymore, and they would have been able to get a starting caliber center. That would have been kind of nice to have.
Yeah, exactly. Against a guy like Nikola Jokic. And the problem is you made other moves. Granted, you got Luka Doncic, which is great, but you traded out Anthony Davis, who, in terms of a matchup against Nikola Jokic, is a guy you probably want on your team a little bit more than Luka Doncic, right? Yeah. So that's where I think they're probably really not wanting to see the Nuggets, I think, in the playoffs. One, just because of the history, but two, I just don't think they match up with Nikola. And so I worry about them for the things I said, the whistle. LeBron is an all-time great. Obviously, Luka Doncic, one of the best players in the league on earth right now. It's a quality team, but I feel confident with the Nuggets against Lakers. I just don't want to actually see them. It's a personal thing for me.
Yeah, seeing them each of the last couple of years, it's been a mentally and emotionally exhausting experience.
Minnesota that for the same basic reason.
Fair enough. I would love to see a different team as well. I'd love to see Houston. I'd love to see Memphis. I would love to see even Golden State. We can talk about tonight. It's the one team that Denver really hasn't gotten their revenge against.
Exactly. That is my exact point. Yeah, when you look at who Denver has beaten in the playoffs, right, they have righted all the wrongs.
Yeah.
Right? With the exception of Golden State. That is the one that they've never beaten them in the playoffs. They have had some pretty brutal losses in the first round to them in the playoffs, fairly recently, in fact. So that's the team I want to get back. And also, since the Nuggets have had Nikola Jokic, essentially, and they've been healthy, they pretty much own the Warriors, right? They
9-0 in their last 9 games.
Right.
Yeah, that's a pretty helpful stat. So let's actually pivot to that matchup then tonight, because going to be very interesting to see how it fares. I believe that everybody, if I'm not mistaken, is playing for Golden State. I have to make sure to confirm that. But Denver, on their side of things, they're going to start Peyton Watson again. They're going to start Christian Brown, and then Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. How do you feel about that starting lineup, even when Russell Westbrook is available, but Jamal Murray is out?
Yeah, it's interesting. Michael Malone is experimenting with some things right before the end of the season, right? Because also, Jalen Pickett. Why wouldn't you get that guy?
That would be pretty good. Okay. Wow. No injured players for Golden State.
Danny behind the glasses helping us out here.
Shout out.
I got to keep remembering too. There's a monitor in front of you. We're still settling in, but yeah. So I mean, it's a weird lineup because you don't really have a true point guard.
Yeah.
Right in that starting lineup, but you don't need one because you have Nikola Jokic. So I think it's interesting. I'm intrigued by it. You're gonna a lot of length in your backcourt with Peyton Watson and Christian Brown. And Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, your length and switchability across the board is there. Steph is going to be the one. Is Christian Brown up to that task? That's really going to be the question.
So the one thing when these two teams faced each other the last time and Denver surprised them in a win, they played very small, but they played Aaron Gordon at the 5, and they played Russell Westbrook at the point, Peyton Watson at the 2, Hunter Tyson at the 3, Michael Porter at the 4, I believe. And they kind of mixed and matched some of those guys in general places. Vlatko Čančar also played a significant role at the end of that game and had a really nice game, I think. So I'm curious to see how Denver's able to guard them with Jokic out there, who is a vastly different defender. He'll soak up a lot of the defensive rebounding questions that they'll have, but Denver will just play a little bit slower on the perimeter as a result.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you got to worry about the shooting as well. I mean, because if you don't have Jamal and your choice is to insert Peyton Watson, that's a big drop off on your outside shooting. Peyton's okay in the corners, but he doesn't have that same sort of threat. So will the Warriors simply just collapse down on Nikola, right? And basically say, let's force Christian Brown, let's force Peyton Watson to prove it. Basically, we'll force anyone. They probably even live with Aaron Gordon shooting threes, right? Michael Porter Jr. They'll make sure he's covered.
They tried to do that last time, and it did not work.
And it killed him, right? Exactly. And that's been Aaron Gordon's MO this whole season. So we'll see what they do. But I think you're still feeling better about pretty much any of those guys shooting a three than you would Jamal Murray, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, that's what I would expect them to do, is that probably just blitz Jokic more, get him double, get the ball out of his hands, and live with Peyton Watson and Christian Brown shooting threes.
They'll have to prove that in the playoffs. So I'm okay with Denver being tested in that situation right now. A lot of folks are really worried about the record and things like that. Like, I think they're 11-11 in the post All-Star break section of the season.
Sure.
I don't care as much about that. I care about Denver going through the trials and tribulations of playoff style matchups, teams that are really caring. They are very serious about these things. They're game planning for Denver, trying to put them into situations where other guys are going to have to make shots. Other guys are just going to have to step up. They're either going to do it or they won't. And if you're Denver, I think you feel pretty good if Peyton Watson, if Christian Brown are getting these opportunities in the regular season, knowing that iron will sharpen iron in the playoffs. So it'll be fascinating. How do you think Draymond's going to do guarding Jokic? He made some campaigns to be the defensive player of the year over the course of these last few weeks.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, Draymond's had a good season. It's been a bit of a throwback year defensively for him. I don't think he's going to win defensive player of the year. But he has been, he's going to be in there. Yeah. I mean, that field kind of opened up once Wembanyama went down.
Yeah.
But how's he going to handle Nikola Jokic? Probably he's going to try and get under his skin, right? He's going to be physical with him, and he's going to get a sombor shuffle in his face. Like that's how this goes, right? In that matchup. So, Draymond, I think for pound, probably defends Nikola as tough as anybody. But the problem is he's giving up like 50 pounds. So there's only so much he can do.
And you're right about the pounds. It's also just Jokic uses his size so much better than just about any player in the NBA. He's methodical. He's not going to get sped up by Draymond in situations where Draymond has sped him up before, back in the 2022 playoffs, for example. That was a situation where Jokic had to learn to settle back down and use what he could use in order to generate the best shots possible. So I'm interested to see how that matchup goes. Off the bench tonight, Russell Westbrook will play. Julian Strawther will also play for the Nuggets. He's back after a 1-month absence due to a knee sprain, excuse me. I'm curious to see how he handles things, how the Nuggets handle his minutes, and whether they're going to try to integrate him before the playoffs begin.
Right. It's kind of a good sneak peek on whether or not he's going to be in the playoff rotation or not, right? If they try and give him some decent minutes and they work him into the rotation regularly over these last handful of games, you probably expect him to be a guy that's going to be in there. If not, then they probably are going to just kind of shelve it for the season. But I hope it's the former, not the latter, because the Nuggets desperately need shooting off their bench, and Julian Strawther is the only guy who can give it to him. Like, there's nobody else.
Yeah, it's going to be like his actual percentages have never reflected, I think, how good of a shooter he is.
The gravity that he has.
And teams, because that's what happens when you've got 4 total shooters on your roster. Like when one of them is out there at a time, you're going to guard that guy. You're going to make his shots as difficult as possible. So I agree with you. It would be nice to see him play. I don't know how he's going to do. I don't know how he's going to fare, what it's going to look like. What I do know is that if the Nuggets are going to be successful this season, it's going to be because everybody contributed. Not because of Jokic, not because of Murray, although those guys are the big central factors, but it's because everybody had their piece. Everybody had their opportunity and was able to step up. You never know when a Julian Strawther series is going to come around.
Yeah. No, yeah, you never do, right? Like, and it's he's one of those guys who's got that microwave ability, and they don't have many of those guys on their bench, or really in general. I mean, yes, with the starters, you can somewhat see it, but there's not a ton of guys who can give you, 5 threes in a game, or suddenly get 10 points in a quarter or something like that, especially like said off your bench. You're basically, depending on, if it's not Julian, it's like, okay, well, then we pray for good Russ. Right. Yeah. And if you don't get that, then you're basically hosed. And, every now and then Peyton Watson will get a 20-point game or something like that. But Julian's got to be the guy that's his role. Scorer off the bench without the ball in his hands. They don't have anybody else who can fill that role. They need him. So I'm hoping he's healthy.
We will see. We'll see how he plays tonight. Do you have any predictions for how tonight's game is going to go down?
I feel strong about the Nuggets' chances. Obviously, they're the rested team, even though they're the road team. They've got most of their guys back. Like we said, Jamal's not going to play, but they've still got the rest of their starting group, and they're getting their bench back. So,
right.
I think in a vacuum, I like them against the Warriors. Normally, I think the road versus rest thing kind of balances out in this thing. So I'm going to give them the nod for sure.
Okay. I think I'm going to as well. I think that they are good enough. I think that after losing a couple of games in a row, Jokic sat in the last one. The last time he played, he had 60, 10, and 10. Aaron Gordon's playing great basketball right now. I'm curious to see what Michael Porter looks like coming back from what was a personal absence over the course of these last couple of games. That'll be interesting to see. No Jamal Murray tonight, but they're going to go with a little bit more defense, a little bit more size in their starting lineup. Maybe Jalen Pickett comes off the bench. We'll see. If I had to predict, I'm going Jokic 30, 15, and 15.
Wow.
And they win
15 and 15.
And they win by 10.
That's a confident Mr. Blackburn right there.
Very rare.
15 and 15. You guys heard it right here on Mile High Sports. Yeah, I like it. I love it. Why not?
It has been awesome being here the entire day. I've been very impressed with the way that that number 38 has kind of handled this entire experience. We love working with them. We've been very excited to be here. This space is so cool, and just the opportunity to be able to socialize with people. Everybody's like, it's funny. You see the open glass. Everybody's just walking by, checking out. Like, what the heck? What are these guys doing here? We're talking sports. We're talking ball, and I'm very excited to be doing it. We're going to be doing it here for a long, long time. Zach, any final words before we get off the mic?
Just check us out over on denverstiffs.com. We always are the great community there. Great conversation about the game. If you want to talk with Nuggets fans about Nuggets basketball, that's the place to be. Just to reiterate what you said, great new spot here down at number 38. Make sure you come down and check us out live and in person. Great selection of beers, great food. It's really all you could ask for as a sports fan.
I had the seltzer that they've got on tap because I'm not a beer guy.
It's the Seltzer Bore Spring.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good seltzer. You're gonna want to come down and try it. Everybody, thank you so much for being a part of it with us. I'm Ryan Blackburn, host of the Pickaxe and Roll podcast and at Mile High Sports here. Very excited to be doing this with Zach Mikash once again. I'm sure we'll have plenty more. Sure, there will be plenty more opportunities to be here. So come down, say hi. We'll be here all night. Everybody, thank you so much.